The Last of Us. You walk through the abandoned streets, stepping carefully over the cracked asphalt. The infected aren't what keep you awake anymore, it's the silence between gunshots. The calculations you make with each can of food. Who eats, who starves, who lives, who dies. The fungal spores that hollow out skulls and turn humans into clicking abominations are a mercy compared to what remains of civilization. Parents who've buried children. Children who've had to put down parents. The smell of smoke always lingers, never knowing if it's a campfire or a pyre. You tell yourself you're surviving, but what parts of you are left? You've killed for medicine, for weapons, for a moment's safety. The people you travel with know what you've done. You know what they've done. Trust is a luxury more rare than bullets. Love is a vulnerability you can't afford. The infected follow biological imperatives. They have no choice. But every day you choose what pieces of your humanity to sacrifice. The true horror of this world isn't in the jaws of the infected. It's reflected in the eyes of survivors who've done unspeakable things and would do them again without hesitation. In The Last of Us, the fungus doesn't create monsters. It simply reveals the ones we've always been capable of becoming. The Matrix. You've lived your entire life without questioning the nature of reality. The coffee cup in your hand, the memories of your childhood, the love you feel, all fabrications, electrical signals fed directly into your brain. Your body, your real body, floats in a vat of nutrient fluid, one battery among billions generating power for the machines that enslaved humanity. The life you think you're living is a simulation so perfect, you've never suspected the truth. What makes the Matrix truly horrifying isn't just the physical enslavement. It's the philosophical annihilation of self. Every achievement you're proud of, every relationship you've cherished, every moment of joy or pain that shaped your identity, none of it was real. Your consciousness has never truly been yours. Even your rebellion is anticipated, your resistance calculated, your free will an illusion within parameters established by your captors. The few humans who've escaped live in the ruins of the real world, a scorched wasteland they destroyed themselves in a desperate attempt to stop the machines. They fight not just for freedom, but for the right to suffer authentically, rather than exist in comfortable delusion. In The Matrix, the most disturbing revelation isn't that machines control humanity. It's that most of humanity, if offered the truth, would choose to remain enslaved. The Witcher. You walk between worlds as a professional monster slayer, mutations making you something not quite human. Silver for monsters, steel for humans. But with each contract fulfilled, each creature slain, the line between the two blurs. The griffin that attacked a village was protecting its mate after hunters killed it for sport. The werewolf that terrorized a town was once a man cursed by a spurned lover. The wraith haunting the well was a young woman murdered by villagers who needed someone to blame for a poor harvest. Meanwhile, you've watched kings order massacres that make vampire attacks seem merciful by comparison. You've seen mages experiment on unwilling subjects in pursuit of knowledge. You've witnessed ordinary people turn on their neighbors at the first whisper of difference, the first scent of fear. In the world of The Witcher, prejudice is more deadly than any basilisk, greed more destructive than any fiend. The most profound horror isn't found in the dark forests or monster-filled caves. It's in the realization that after centuries of hunting creatures considered monstrous, the greatest atrocities are still committed by those who call themselves human. Your silver sword remains sharp, but your conviction about which targets deserve it dulls with each passing year. Resident Evil Universe. The pharmaceutical giant called it progress. The military called it an opportunity. The board of directors called it profitable. Now the streets run red with something that used to be blood, and the air fills with sounds that used to be human. The T-virus doesn't just kill, it corrupts, it transforms, it weaponizes human flesh against itself. A bite spreads the infection, a scratch, a breath too close to the wrong person. The transformation is not swift or merciful. You remain conscious as your body betrays you, as your thoughts fragment and hunger replaces everything you once were. But the Walking Dead are merely symptoms of the true disease. Human greed, ambition, the willingness to sacrifice millions for profit or power. In sealed underground laboratories, researchers continue their work, even as the world collapses, developing new strains, new monstrosities, convinced their next creation will be controllable. Military units hunt through the ruins, collecting samples, executing survivors who have seen too much. Corporate executives in distant safe zones calculate acceptable losses. In Resident Evil's universe, the horror isn't that science created monsters. It's that the monsters were always there, wearing suits, signing papers, making rational decisions that traded lives for market share. The virus merely gave them a more honest face. Dark Netflix. Time isn't a river flowing in one direction. It's a knot eternally tangled with itself. In the small town of Linden, you discover that your grandfather is also your son. The woman you loved was once the girl you grew up with, who will become the elderly neighbor who guided your first steps. Every attempt to break the cycle only ensures its continuation. Every effort to save a loved one guarantees their suffering. The cave system beneath the town connects not just to other places, but to other times. 1953, 1986, 2019, 2052, creating a closed loop of cause and effect, where the future creates the past, which creates the future. Rain falls upward. Dead birds drop from the sky in masses. Children disappear, only to emerge decades earlier or later, aged or unaged. Family trees don't branch, they circle. Free will becomes a cruel illusion when your choices were determined by actions your future self already took. The apocalypse isn't coming. It's already happened, is happening, will always happen, caused by efforts to prevent it. In Dark's universe, the most terrifying revelation isn't that time travel exists. It's that time itself is a prison, and every moment of your existence, past, present, and future, is just another cell in that eternal confinement. 1984. The boot stamping on a human face forever isn't what breaks you. It's when you ask for the boot. Oceania has always been at war with Eastasia, or was it Eurasia? It doesn't matter because truth doesn't exist, only power. The Ministry of Truth rewrites history daily. The Ministry of Love tortures you until you betray everything you value. The thought police can arrest you for crimes you haven't even committed yet, thought crimes that exist only in your mind. What makes 1984 uniquely horrifying isn't the surveillance or the torture. It's how the party doesn't just want your obedience. It wants your mind. It's not enough to say 2 + 2 = 5. You must believe it. It's not enough to confess to crimes you didn't commit. You must genuinely feel guilty for them. It's not enough to fear Big Brother. You must love him. The telescreens watch you constantly, but they're unnecessary. Your neighbors report you. Your children report you. Even your own mind reports you, trained through newspeak to make thought crime literally impossible because the vocabulary for dissent no longer exists. In 1984, the most devastating realization isn't that freedom has been taken from you. It's that you will willingly surrender it piece by piece until the very concept becomes incomprehensible. The ultimate tyranny isn't the system that oppresses you. It's how that system hollows you out until oppression feels like salvation, and the taste of freedom becomes more terrifying than the boot upon your neck. Limbo. The world exists only in shades of black and gray. You are small, a child with no name, no voice, no history. Beyond the moment you awoke in this shadowy forest, death surrounds you, constant and creative. Bear traps hidden in tall grass, poisonous spiders with legs like needles, waters inhabited by something that drags you down if you linger too long. The landscape itself seems designed to eliminate you, and your only tool against it is persistence. You die. You try again. You die differently. Rain falls like static. Machinery operates without operators, grinding gears waiting to catch small bodies. Other children appear occasionally, hanging from nooses, fleeing from unseen threats, sometimes hostile to your approach. This is childhood distilled to its most vulnerable essence. Small, powerless, proceeding through trial and fatal error, in a world designed by absent adults. There is no explanation given for this place, no context for your journey, only the next deadly puzzle, the next leap of faith. In Limbo, the most profound horror isn't found in any specific threat, but in the overwhelming atmosphere of abandonment. This world doesn't actively hate you. That would require it to acknowledge you exist. It simply continues its deadly functions, indifferent to whether you survive them. Inside, the rain never stops in this monochromatic dystopia. Uniformed men hunt children with dogs and tranquilizer darts. Crowds of mindless workers shuffle through factories, performing repetitive tasks under glaring lights. Underwater, pale creatures reach up with grasping hands, neither fully human nor fully other. You, a child in a red shirt, run, hide, solve puzzles to progress deeper into the heart of a vast and terrible experiment. Your movements are watched by cameras. Your breath echoes in empty corridors. Your footsteps leave wet prints on concrete floors. The facility you infiltrate conducts research on control, on consciousness, on what remains of humanity when autonomy is removed. Bodies suspended in water tanks, minds linked through hideous machinery. People reduced to puppets, moving only when directed. As you delve deeper, the boundary between observer and experiment blurs. Are you fighting against this system, or are you its culmination? Is your journey an escape attempt or a carefully orchestrated performance? In Inside's bleak universe, the most devastating realization isn't the existence of the controlling entity. It's the suspicion that resistance itself might be just another form of compliance, that your every act of rebellion was anticipated, accounted for, and incorporated into the experiment all along. Dragon Ball Z, power beyond comprehension flows through your veins, yet it's never enough. With each battle won, each transformation achieved, the scale of threats expands exponentially. Gods of destruction, immortal tyrants, entities capable of erasing entire universes with a thought. The golden aura of a Super Saiyan once seemed the pinnacle of achievement. Now, such power is barely adequate for the weakest of foes. Planets shatter as collateral damage from your conflicts. The fabric of reality strains against the forces you command. But with this cosmic escalation comes a terrible isolation. How can you live among ordinary people when a moment's lapse in control could vaporize cities? How can you form connections knowing everyone you love is fragile compared to the beings that hunt you? Each new level of power achieved doesn't bring security. It attracts stronger enemies, creates greater responsibilities. The universe becomes a fragile thing you must constantly defend, not enjoy. In Dragon Ball Z's cosmos, the true horror isn't found in the villains who threaten existence. It's in the realization that godlike power doesn't free you. It chains you to an endless cycle of violence, forever climbing toward a summit that continuously recedes, forever responsible for protecting a world you can no longer truly be part of. Project Moon. The city runs on misery. Literally, your despair isn't wasted. It's harvested, quantified, and converted into energy. In the interconnected worlds of Project Moon, Lobotomy Corporation, Library of Ruina, Limbus Company, human suffering has been industrialized. Abnormalities, manifestations of human cognitive distortions, are contained and managed by employees who often lose their sanity or lives in the process. Their distress powers the lights, the machinery, the very foundations of a city teetering on the edge of collapse. What makes Project Moon's universe uniquely disturbing isn't just its bureaucratic horror or psychological monstrosities, it's how it systematizes emotional trauma. Depression, anxiety, self-loathing, and fear aren't just feelings, they're resources to be mined. The corporations don't just exploit your labor, they harvest the very essence of your psychological breakdown. As you rise through the ranks of these corporations, you discover that the entire city exists in precarious balance with entities beyond comprehension. The light, the arbitrary force of civilization and order. The ruins, the entropy that seeks to return all things to chaos. Humanity exists as fuel caught between these forces, their suffering converted into the currency that keeps the machinery of existence running. In Project Moon, the most terrifying realization isn't that monsters exist. It's that your trauma is the most valuable commodity in a cosmic economy you never consented to join. Your worst day isn't a personal tragedy. It's a profitable fiscal quarter for forces that view your breakdown as nothing more than a successful harvest. Your tears collected like precious gems to power a city that will discard you the moment you're drained dry.
Subscribe for more interesting stuff. Tell us your experience in the comments.